Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. I'm Caitlin Burke. It's been over a month since a deadly cyclone struck Mozambique. More than 1.5 million people are still requiring urgent food and nutrition support in the four most affected provinces, and over 100,000 people have received emergency shelter. Drone pilots are assessing damage to critical infrastructure, including hospitals, clinics, schools, roads, and bridges. The humanitarian crisis has also been worsened by an ongoing cholera outbreak that has infected more than 5,000 people and threatens to worsen malnutrition. The Defense Department is taking big steps to combat that spread of cholera. Combined Joint Task Force Horn of Africa is leading relief efforts in support of the Disaster Assistance Response Team from the U.S. Agency for International Development. The task force is working to provide logistics support and manpower.
Vibrio cholera is a waterborne bacterial illness that is caused by fecal contamination. It is highly transmissible and infectious and can cause explosive epidemics. Here in Mozambique, when you've had a disaster similar to the cyclone that was here, you have significant destruction of infrastructure, facilities, and localized flooding, which causes fecal contamination of food and water sources. We don't have reliable ground transport or safe ground transport options to get needed items to the areas. This is where the DoD comes into place. Our airlift capabilities are making it possible to deliver life-saving equipment, supplies, aid, and support to the local area. We've been working closely or been in contact with multiple organizations such as UNICEF, USAID, Red Cross, World Health Organization, just to name a few. We are contributing to the about 1 million cholera vaccines that are going to be delivered to the local populace. This is going to help support the cholera campaign the World Health Organization already has in place. We have delivered about 40,000 pounds of aluminum sulfate and associated items for water purification. In addition, we have about 1.5 million pounds of medical equipment, aid, and hygiene items. Part of this is with the goal of limiting the spread of cholera in the local area. The current numbers show that we have just over 2,500 confirmed cases of cholera in the area, with about 300 new cases every single day. Thankfully, according to some research, we have a mortality rate that is about 500 times less than what's expected. This ultimately means that the combined efforts of all these amazing organizations and our outstanding team is literally saving lives.
Meanwhile, back here at home, Marines at Naval Amphibious Base in Coronado, California, spent the first 2 months of the year doing special training. The Coxons Skills Course is a training evolution offered by the Amphibious Raids Branch of Expeditionary Warfare Training Group, and it helps prepare the Marines for all kinds of in-field scenarios.
We say all the time how the NCO is the backbone of the Marine Corps, and I don't think that there's anywhere that that's more demonstrated than a boat company. When you're doing a transit over the horizon and there's swells large enough to break the view between boats, that's a solitary boat team out there, and whoever that coxswain NCO is, or whoever's the senior man on that boat, they've got people's lives in their hands. And the type of maturity, the type of meticulous prep for combat that goes into making a raid like that successful, making an amphibious movement like that successful is immense. And the fact that you know, the NCOs and the men of this company are knocking that out just really speaks very highly of them.
We have 10 minutes left. Getting down. So right now we have 2nd Battalion 1st Marines engaged in the Coxons Skills Course right now. The Marine Corps Training Division does two things. We train Marine Corps instructors of water survival, and our Amphibious Raids Branch trains small boat companies for employment with the 31st MEU. What we do here is we train individuals to to manage and operate the combat rubber raiding craft. So it takes someone who's got the mental and physical skills to lead in a stressful environment on the water.
Our mission at the Amphibious Raid Branch is to provide the Marine Expeditionary Unit with a certain skill, that skill being the ability to perform amphibious raids. So my position being the Coxons Skills Course Chief is to facilitate all the training that the students partake in. This is an MOS producing course. They receive 0316, so making sure that all the standards and conditions are met based off of the Training and Readiness Manual is my job. You're only as good as your boat team. It's one of those things where if you're not a confident coxswain going through the surf zone, everyone will know. You have to be the one, you know, that everybody looks to in order to safely get that craft through that surf zone. Those waves, when they're crashing down on you, it's intimidating. So getting everybody into the creek and getting that creek moving is extremely important, because the longer you sit in the surf zone, the more and more water you take on, the more and more weight that creek takes on, meaning the less effective that engine is pushing through that surf zone.
Misery loves company. You know, all the students here suffer the effects of these courses, the long nights, early mornings, the effects of the weather, the physical toll that it takes on their body. The ones that meet that standard are all tighter forward as a group, but they won't pass unless they come together as a team.
Marines that are filling these key billets have just floored me with their professionalism. Where, you know, again, they are controlling our movement. They're the ones that I'm essentially entrusting the safety of the company to while we're seaborne. Steely veined NCO coxswains getting the job done. It's pretty cool to see.
Coming up, how CBN is stepping in to help a military family in need. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to providing financial support to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans. After Hurricane Florence flooded their rental home, Jim and Rose Langwell began living in a camper with their 3 children. All the family's belongings were ruined, and to replace them, the couple would have had to go deep into debt. At least that's what they thought, until they received some great news from CBN's Helping the Home Front.
Jim Langwell and his wife Rose are dedicated to serving their community and country. She's in the U.S. Air Force. He works as a sheriff's deputy in Jacksonville, North Carolina. They never imagined they'd be the ones needing help after Hurricane Florence flooded their home they were renting. All of their belongings were destroyed by the storm.
It's hard. We've both worked our whole lives to get where we are, and we had nice things and a nice house, and now it's all gone and we have to start over.
Rose and their 3 kids lived in this borrowed camper on her sister Dawn's and her husband Randy's property. Despite that part of Randy and Dawn's roof blew off their own home and the master bedroom destroyed, they took the Langwells in.
I'm eternally grateful for it. I will do anything to try and repay them for this. I mean, it's just huge.
Jim and Rose planned to move into another rental home as soon as possible, but they wouldn't have any furniture unless they bought what they needed on credit.
We finally didn't owe anyone or any bank or anything. We were in a really good spot, a really comfortable spot, and then just in the blink of an eye, now we're facing that again.
We struggled before, and God always pulls us through, so I'm hopeful.
Their situation changed because the Lord's Table Church contacted CBN's Helping the Home Front.
We want to make sure that you can replace a lot of the things that you've lost. So we want to give you some commissary and exchange gift cards. So $2,500 worth of that. So
thank you.
In a way to help you guys get back on your feet. We want to take care of your deposit and first month's rent when you find a place. And then later today, we're going to take you to Ashley Furniture, and they want to make sure you guys have all the furniture you need for your new house. So putting your heads on real beds, sitting on real couches.
Speechless.
Awesome.
It was then that Pastor Ken told them CBN's Operation Blessing was going to help Rose's sister and brother-in-law.
They have gotten some help from Operation Blessing so that they can help your family as well.
It's amazing. I can't believe it.
Back outside, they told Randy and Dawn that Operation Blessing was going to pay to fix all the damage to the roof and master bedroom.
Get you where you need to go, man.
I don't even know what to say. I really don't. Thank you, man. How about that? Thank you guys so much.
Afterwards, they headed to Ashley's to pick out furniture for their new home. Ashley's was more than happy to provide a deep discount to honor the couple's service. Today, the Langwells are in their new home with all the furniture they need, thanks to helping the home front.
I am grateful for CBN because this really means a lot.
Up next, we take a look back in history at the deadly attack of the USS Cole off the shores of Yemen, and where the U.S. stands today with relations in the country. President Trump has vetoed a resolution passed by Congress to end U.S. military assistance in Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen. Military officials say the U.S. provides billions of dollars of arms to the Saudi-led coalition fighting against Iran-backed rebels in Yemen. Trump said the measure was unnecessary because, with the exception of counterterrorism operations against ISIS, the U.S. is not engaged in hostilities in or affecting Yemen. He said there are no troops on the ground there, but that the U.S. has provided limited support, including intelligence sharing, logistics, and until recently, in-flight refueling of aircraft. Nearly 2 decades ago, the USS Cole arrived in Yemen in October of 2000. The crew aboard the ship was unaware of the dangers lurking. An unexpected and deadly waterborne terror attack rocked the ship. Those who survived it still remember it like it was yesterday.
It'll always be a significant event in my life. You see it here in my house. You see it on my truck. The stickers will come off. I'll let go some, but you really won't ever totally let go because it's a part of you, always will be. The crew will always be a part of me, as I them, again, for what we share. And the ship will always be our ship. You know, when you get a command like this, like a destroyer, and it was my first time getting a small ship like this, you think about the size of the crew, you know, everybody knows everybody, and then to see her actually pretty ship-shape and shiny, and all the signal flags flying forward to aft, that makes you feel proud.
It really was hard on us because we went there, we took them to the ship and watched it sail off and saw a tear fall from his eye.
The morning before the attack, we had just successfully transited the Suez Canal. We had orders to refuel and take on over 200,000 gallons of fuel. Some of the crew, before we even deployed, felt nervous. It was maybe because it was their first time deploying. Some experienced sailors also felt some bad vibes, don't know why. But I think it's like that in life when you get this gut feeling sometimes that something ain't right.
Yes, October 12th at 11:18. Actually, early that morning, it was just a brief stop for fuel. Then right after that, they passed the word for regular early chow, which is at 11:15.
They were serving chicken fajitas. I think everybody will tell you that. And then the blast happened.
Damaged in a terrorist attack in Yemen.
American sailors were killed, injured,
U.S.
missing.
Navy officials in Bahrain today said suspected suicide bombing.
It was a deafening sound, but I recall more just feeling it than hearing it. The pressure of it knocked me back in my chair, and along with that, all the lights went out. The next thing that I can really recall from the blast is just this putrid, kind of acrid smoke. It was very hard to breathe. Everybody was choking from the smoke.
I went into work. I walked in and I looked at the television because it was on. It was saying breaking news, attack on the USS Cole. And then my mind just froze, and I was thinking, USS Cole. I didn't want to believe that was his ship.
We have lost everything, the main machinery room instantly flooded. We lost operations, we lost communications. We had nothing. So I basically had to go from being a command master chief now to using my old corpsman skills. We instantly, we lost 17 sailors. We had well over 50 casualties. You live with it every day that these are young men and women that you knew personally. We had a crew of 275. And respectfully have to put them in a body bag is the worst thing I could ever think of. And to think of their loved ones back home having to deal with that later, that goes through your mind. And what do you say later?
We'll hear more from survivors of the USS Cole when we come back after the break. Welcome back to On the Home Front. We're hearing from survivors of the USS Cole as they recount the tragic day a terror attack exploded their ship off the coast of Yemen.
I see two men getting out of the car. Both of them had uniforms. And I know from TV that when they come to your house, they're not coming to tell you good news. And so I just kept walking, walked right past my car. And they walked up to me and they said, "Are you Diane McDaniels?" And I said, "No." And they asked me again, and I said, "Yes," because I just didn't want to know. So I went back up, and that's when they told me that he was missing. And then the guy, he had walked toward the back of the apartment, and he came back in, and he said, he came back to me, and he said, "Miss McDaniels," he said, "I have to tell you that your son is dead." And I said, "How can he be dead?" Because you just told me he was missing. And they said that he had been identified as being dead. So that's how we found out. It's October 12th in the evening. Yeah, he had died.
A kid I stood watch with every day, OS2 Saunders. Both of his legs were busted up so bad they were out of shape on the, they were all twisted on the Stoke stretcher that they were carrying him on. And still the same cheery personality. He gives me 2 thumbs up and says, "They're taking care of me, Master Chief," as they were as they're carrying him off on a Stoke stretcher. And he was the only shipmate that made it off the ship and over to the hospital that passed away over there. Every other one that we got off the ship and triaged, to get off soon enough, they made it. The rest of them died before we ever got them off the ship.
We had no food stores, no food, potable water's gone. Even in things like don't think about his heads. So, you got to think of preventive medicine. Got to worry about dysentery. A lot of challenges. And then you got the enemy on top of that you still have to worry about. We had to respect each other's decisions and follow orders from junior people. And we did that. And that's what I really feel saved the ship, because even chiefs were following orders of junior enginemen that knew what they were doing, so we could get the right thing done to save our ship and our shipmates. We almost lost her, and she would have been laying on her port side sunk. Once we got through all that and getting all the bodies off, it took about 12 days.
People called us heroes. They called us that when we came back. I think most of the shipmates, we just saw ourselves as doing our job. It was sailors being sailors.
I think that's good to keep the story alive, and it's a lesson learned. I'm glad he did what he did as far as serving, because that's what he wanted to do. But one thing I can say is that even though 17 died, because I have to include the other ones too, it wasn't just him. 17 died to save thousands, because now they are protected. And so I just feel that don't let him and crew members that died, to have died in vain, just let it be a lesson learned, because I wouldn't want anyone else to go through what I went through and the other family members went through, because we went through a lot.
When I left her, she was on stilts down in Pascagoula with big holes in the side of them, removing the main engines, repairing the 40 by 60 foot hole in the side with the American flag flying aft. That's the way I had to leave her. I was saddened. I would have never thought in my life that I'd have to go through something like that. But when she was fixed, put back, it was pride. Because we told them son of a bitches that we were not defeated and that we were coming back. And she's out there just like other destroyers, serving and doing their job, doing what they're trained to do, so I can be safe at home here in North Carolina.
That's all for today, but you can find more of our exclusive coverage at cbnnews.com. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.